The year is now 2025, and it's time to start our brand new 2025 Jeep Wrangler build. The build plan for this Jeep. The crazy idea, based upon the color and the fact that it has two doors, to make this a modern day Willys MB or GPW. But where do we even begin? About a month ago, we drove all the way down to Brian and his team at Distinction Applied, and we didn't leave our truck bed empty. We brought a ton of factory parts off of this Jeep Wrangler and got them painted in the 41 clear coat. We're gonna get into the history of why we did this to the Jeep, why some parts look the way they do, and break it down for you guys that might not have been so happy we didn't leave an accent color. Throughout military history, especially in World War II, vehicles would have been painted in a single flat or earth tone color. This was to help them blend in, not be noticeable to enemies, as well as to make them harder to be photographed. And with our build here, we decided to keep that theme, keep it single color, and really give it some small accent pieces. So we went down to Brian, we specifically brought these pieces and told him how we wanted them to be matched. Now, I'll give you a little bit of a glimpse into what we're doing. Not all of them were matched into the factory 41 color. We have some really cool historical accents that we wanted to do to this Jeep to not only give it that history and that historically correct feel, but also just because we felt it looked a little bit better. The first part that we decided to install was going to be the largest part that was shipped home with us, and that was the 2024 grille. Now, a lot of people are wondering why we went with a completely color matched 41 grille. And initially, I might have to side with a lot of those commenters that might be like, that's a bit much. Why didn't we keep the factory grille and maybe just accent a little bit like the 41 concept that Jeep is releasing? In 1941, when these Jeeps would have rolled out of the assembly line, everything was OD green. And we wanted to do just that with our 41 color. So Brian and his team took apart the entire grille like they normally do when they would mix match different colors, and they painted every single piece in 41 clear coat. Yeah guys, this is just one of the metric ton of color match parts that we're installing on this Jeep. If you guys want to see like detailed installs of everything, be sure to visit Distinction Applied's YouTube channel. We'll tag that down below and you'll see a lot more of me on that channel. So it's kind of neat because we have the detailed installs over there for their site and for their purposes. And then on here, we just get to do the fun stuff. So, but yeah, this is, it's pulling like Sarge from Cars, you know, the movie, like that exact, like, it just looks like if you're gonna do color match anything, kind of why we chose this color, this is meant to all be the same color. You know, it's meant to be sprayed out because they would have just taken it and sprayed the whole thing just like this. So really neat here, just finishing it up. And obviously we got the DRC grill lights in there too, and they fit right in. And as we were working front to back on the Jeep, and the next thing that we decided to rip off and add a color matched piece on was the hood latches. Now in 1941, once again, these hood latches would have come completely sprayed out in olive drab green. So we decided to get the entire thing sprayed. Now while we couldn't get this to be exactly like the original Jeep, which would have had spring-loaded clasps, much like the CJ5, CJ7, YJs that I've owned, that you actually pull it up, the springs all start to rust inside there. These gave it a nice subtle touch and really started to flow that color match in as we got closer to the front windshield. I like them. Yeah, I think the hood latches look, I've never done the inside ones, but it looks cool from this angle. You can kind of see it in there, but maybe we'll go, I don't know. We're gonna definitely keep these ones around because my fear is that we're constantly popping and opening the hood is that they're gonna wear that paint, but I've also seen how the paint goes on. So this will be a good testament to see how well they do as a paint job. You know, I looked at the original Willys MB, the 4 GPWs, and the windshield bumpers or the fold down windshield area would have been a wood block back in the day. Now, most of them were sprayed out, right? They would have been sprayed in olive drab green, but they were wood blocks underneath. And so we decided to use the old school style, right? Like it would have been a wood grain block on the hood of that Jeep. And then Brian has these covered up pieces that just snap right over top of the windshield bumpers. And I thought to myself, hey, he's got the most amazing hydro dipping I've ever seen. Could you do wood grain on this? And he was like, yeah, no problem. Let's do it. We did wood grain covered up windshield bumpers on this Jeep to try and tie in some of the heritage of the original Willys MB and just give it such a cool accent on the hood. So that grain, this is almost like, it would be reminiscent of like a wood stock of like one of the weapons that would have been used in World War II, kind of the same color on there. We had a couple choices, like you could have done with a really dark grain or something like that. But when I was looking at any colorized photos of World War I, like Willys MBs, there's not many. There's not many out there. So I was looking at more of the modern restored ones and they all kind of had this similar grain. It's gonna be reminiscent of the old school stuff,
but then it's got a touch of the new, right? So we don't want to put wood blocks on here, but we got it just about to look like there are wood blocks. So
the next part, of course, was the bread and butter piece for Distinction Applied, the paint matched cowl panel. Brian and his team are probably painting, I don't know how many hundreds of these things a month. Not only do they look fantastic, but they also replace a potentially faded cowl panel, or in our case, that black cowl panel that never really would have been in place throughout most of the years of the Wrangler as well. So we got this one in 41 as well, but Brian and I might change that up in the future because we saw some cool ideas with tattered flags that he hydro dips on there. But for now, the 41 green ties in so cleanly throughout the hood, and now right up all the way to the windshield, you have none of these huge panels that are in that more of a matte or a flat black.
That's a must. I love it. I mean, the only thing I said is after seeing them hydro dipped in like a flag, I think that would have been kind of neat up here. But then it's like, what color flag do you do? Because we have a lot of decals going on this Jeep. But just to start, the color match cowl panel, it's one of those things that you kind of get to see every day too, because when you're driving, you can see it, as well as like the covered up hood bumpers. But yeah, the cowl panel it's like a must have. For under 200 bucks, it fixes a problem, it removes a lot of that black plastic, and it really can give you a nice accent piece if you dip it. So
going back towards the front, a piece that I've swapped out on Ryan's and a bunch of other Jeeps, and something that is so cool because you can actually accent 2 different tones on there, which we didn't, we went on 41, the fender vents. So this is a part that we've done multiple times, and I do think it makes a really cool change to the side of the Jeep. And I would say it makes an even bigger change when you have color matched fender flares. In our case, it contrasts crazy with the black fenders that we have on the Jeep, but don't worry, those aren't gonna be here too much longer. We added a set of the color matched fender vents on here, and I just think it really flows in easier onto the front end.
That's like one of those things that once we have all the rest of this done, these just blend in so nicely. But yeah, doing them in 41, that just gives it a little bit of a cool touch. The only other thing we thought of maybe is doing that in a two-tone as well in the future, but we have some plans with our fenders, so those might actually unfortunately have to go. So, but we got some cool things planned with this. Yeah, I'm loving it. Fender vents and the cowl panel. And then we replace maybe these things right here. I gotta go steal some parts off of my dad's Jeep because we ripped ours off to get painted. So let's go rip those off and we'll do some more installs.
The next thing that we tackled as well, and something that we've never tackled on this channel, was a set of the color matched mirrors. Now on Ryan's Jeep, on my Jeep, on my dad's Jeep, we felt that a set of color matched mirrors might have been too much. It might be a little bit too much color matching, but the cool thing with our Jeep and this build is that there's never too much color matching on a 41 that supposedly back in the day, everything would have been sprayed out in that color. Now the cool thing with these mirrors is that they really do make a dramatic difference, and Ryan and I were both pleasantly surprised at how cool this looked on the Jeep.
Synopsis of the mirror install, they look cool. I think the only thing, like we always wheel with our doors off, so we don't really have the mirrors on to get scraped up, but these would get scraped up, but they look sick. I've seen them on high altitudes. I've never seen them in a color like this though. Like more of like a flat, like kind of military color. But it's neat because this is probably the largest chunk of a black plastic that you'd have on the door, and we just turned it into color match. So I can't wait to see what this looks like with everything else. These are gonna go soon. Those are going soon, everything's.
Now it's only 3 bolts to remove the mirror, as well as potentially a factory wiring connector. And then you do have to pop the glass out, which we were a little bit nervous to do because we had never done it on this model year. But in fact, it was very simple. Even if you've got a connector, it is not hard to do at all. Back in the day, I don't even think most of these Jeeps had mirrors because they weren't really looking back. They were just looking to see. They weren't running into a tree, an embankment, a ditch. They were just trying to go forward. So the mirrors weren't really necessary, and if they would have been painted the same way the Jeep was. But a dramatic change for the side of this Jeep, and we're just so happy with how that turned out. Next up to bat to really make that door completely color matched was adding on a set of color matched door handles for not only the front 2 doors, but also as well the tailgate.
These are like the go-to. These are, I mean, we've got them on all of ours. They change the look of these completely. Yeah, if you're gonna do it, and the install is so quick. Not a lot of people know how quick, like you can do the whole 4-door in like 5 minutes. It's just a matter of keeping them matched up, which actually I didn't know. That was a cool tip that Brian gave us. He said that the actual end caps here have to stay with the appropriate handle because they've got certain magnets in them. So that must be fun when they're going through paint to like try and make sure that they stay together the whole time in the whole paint process. But yeah, they look awesome.
The next one, and probably the most simple, is the covered up keyhole covers. Once you do the door handles, the fender vents, the mirrors, everything else is matched to the Jeep. You really have this stainless steel or chrome door lock keyhole that just stands out. It's the only thing on the door that you see. So we covered it up, and it's a great name for this line that he has, but those are so simple, and you can get those in not only factory colors like we did in 41, but also an accent color or an accent hydro dip. So a really nice option, and something that, yeah, if you've got a Jeep like this, just click them on. They look so much better, and it does protect the keyhole cover if you're in the winter, if you're in the snow and salt. Pull that off, and now you can actually use your key instead of it freezing up like that. But yeah, a super quick one and something to just completely tie in the rest of the door.
Well, let's open up this box here as part of this color matched video. I gotta be honest, I already opened part of this up, but you guys are gonna be really surprised at what we did. Check it out. Color matched halogen taillights. Most people would say, why didn't you go with the LEDs, the oracles, something else? Well, we have some ideas with this Jeep, and part of it kind of stays with that OEM look, the original style. And there was just something special about the factory halogen light with the built-in reflector on the side here. I just think it looked more original, right? It looked more original to the build. I'm gonna wipe it off here because I got my fingerprints all over it. But the way that they color match these, we saw some down at Distinction Applied that were actually just LED ones, and they just look insane. So they actually take the entire thing and sand it. And I was kind of impressed too, because they even sand all of the glass on it, and then they clear coat it and buff it. So this just is going to look crazy. We already mocked it up off camera, and it just looks insane. So why don't we throw one of these on, because this Jeep has not had taillights in 4 weeks. All right, moment of truth. Got it connected here. Look at that. I know we're probably gonna get some grief about it, and I know Brian was even thinking, why the heck am I paint matching a halogen? Normally everyone upgrades from a halogen, but there's just something about, I would say even the halogen headlights too, that just, it works with this build. Like that's the whole point of that. Like we wanted to make it look, I don't know, I think there's like an overkill point where you can try and make it look retro, but it doesn't. You know what I mean? Like we could have done some crazy custom lights in the front and rear, but it just, I feel like this is what it would have had stock, and you would have just seen like the red on the back and then a little reflector on the side of the Jeep, but then the rest would have been body color. That's what we tried to do with this, and yeah, I'm always amazed by their work. At first I was like, why the heck are they sanding like the front of this, but then they smoothed it out and clear coated it, and it looks, yeah, well, I'll let you guys be the judge, but I think everything on this Jeep is just really coming together.
There was one more piece to add on the back corner of this Jeep, and that was a color matched fuel door. In our case, we wanted to remove as much of that flat black as possible and really complete the 41 look along the back corner. So we decided to go with the Jeep branded 41 color matched fuel door, which these are such a simple installation, and they look so much better. It actually covers up that gas cap. It gives us a nice little accent on the inside with the actual Willys Jeep, and then just ties in the color throughout. Like we could have just left it as an open filler neck, but it's kind of neat because the original Willys, you know where the fuel tank was? It was actually under the driver's seat. When I say under it, it was right here. Like it's crazy. It's very safe, you know, putting a fuel tank right underneath your seat. But yeah, we got a little piece for this. Maybe we should put it on this episode.
I think we should.
I think we should put that one on here. Yeah, let's grab it and we'll put it on. Yeah, so I think every video we're gonna probably, the plan is at least to add maybe at least one decal, Ryan, if not like a grouping of decals that looks right. But you wanna see the one for this?
Yeah. Gas.
Yeah. So let's see where it fits. I mean, I got it in 2-inch, but this is the exact font. We actually got it from, this guy has been creating the stencils and decals since 1972. We'll tag his down below. I can't think of the name. It's like militarystencils.com. You enter everything in and you get it perfect. So this is super cool. But where do you think we ought to put it, Ryan?
Where would they originally go?
It depends on the vehicle, but I don't know. That doesn't look bad. But right here,
Where's it going to be with the flares?
the flares would, yeah, the flares would, I think up there is our
Our
solution.
The best spot.
Right like that. And if it doesn't, we can always, yep, that's it. Boy, I hate doing decals. Good thing I have like 70 more over there to do, Ryan.
First decal out of a lot more to go, but did we do it okay? It looks good.
The next one on this Jeep is something that took a lot of time to think about how we wanted to do it, how to make it historically accurate, and also throw in a bit of our flair into this build. Said, hey, could you match this up and maybe change some of these colors on not only our trail rated badge, but our Jeep factory badge?
Dude, I freaking love them. Like, so do we give the little history bit here? Because this is why. So originally in 1941, when Willys rolled these out of the assembly line, you would have seen blue drab hood logos. So the hood logos would have said like W20 and then whatever the serial number was on the hood. Jeep did a fantastic job on their 4xe concept because they put the blue drab on the side hood logo. We wanted to incorporate that into something that would have came factory on this Wrangler. Now we don't know the blue drab exact paint code, and if you do, it's 70, 80 years old, but we incorporated Anvil, which is the closest to blue drab that we could find into our trail rated and Jeep badges. And at first Brian was like, man, that's kind of an interesting combo, but look at how cool it looks together. The reasoning they used the blue drab is because when you would use black and white photos, when you would take aerial photography of these Jeeps, the blue drab would not contrast with the paint color. Like white, we've thrown some white decals over there, it really contrasts and you could pick up units and different things like that. Blue drab fades in. So that's what would have been used on this from 1941. And what we're trying to do is incorporate a bit of the history with our modern flair and then give it onto this build. It's cooler than I could have ever imagined here. It's just awesome, especially going from that to that.
But before we get into the full reveal outside of doing a walk around of this Jeep, we wanted to introduce a new segment of this build, the hero of the video. And this one comes from one of our viewers all the way out in Ohio, and he wanted to honor his 100-year-old grandfather, who is a Purple Heart World War II veteran. His name is Carl, and he was a waist gunner on a B-24 Liberator called Little Lulu. Now, this is such a cool story because he actually sent us the nose art of this plane, which we do plan on incorporating into this build. But one of the things that I was so humbled by is that they showed the beginning picture of the nose art, which just had Little Lulu, and every time they ran a mission, they put a lollipop or painted one on because that was a cartoon character and apparently what was popular with her in the show. At the end of it, their entire front end of the nose was coated in lollipops. So his grandfather actually flew close to 50 missions in this plane, many over Ploesti, which was an infamous oil refinery in Romania, as well as Vienna, where he received his Purple Heart by getting hit by anti-air. It's like emotional for me to read, dude. It's hard. I mean, this stuff, these are like, this is why we're doing this. And you keep this in, but it's just super emotional for me to read. But Carl's a true hero. And he's still alive to this day, but this is why we're doing this kind of thing. So that's our first hero of the video. I don't know how much I can, these are gonna be hard for me to get through. I'll try and get through them, but it's a lot of these guys, you know, some of the other ones like don't make it home. You know, that's the hard part. Boy, oh boy, they choke you up to read. So let's go outside and we're gonna show the Jeep off. Well guys, we got the Jeep outside and this is kind of more of the video you are used to on this channel, a build walk around or the walk around of everything that we've done to this Jeep. Now, we had some obligations with Brian. We have some really cool content we're producing, and we weren't able to show the full installations of all these products, but do not worry, because on the Distinction Applied channel, which we will tag down below, you can see me and Ryan on that channel, and I'll be installing all of these parts, the entire thorough way done. So if you guys want to check out any of that, be sure to subscribe to the channel. It helps support us, it supports Distinction Applied, and it's gonna be really cool to see what we do on there as well. But let's do a walk around of this Jeep. We talked about everything inside, what we did. The grille, that's the first one. That's the one that I was the most skeptical about. At first, I was not sure I was going to like it. In fact, I was quite skeptical of it. I do like a little bit of the accents that are on a factory grille, and I think it gives it a bit of a breakup. However, with the theme of this Jeep, with the build that we're doing, and then seeing it with everything else done, I really started to like it. In the beginning, I didn't really like it as much, but I think with the theme of this, and then once these go, it's really gonna tie in well and give us a nice accent piece to the front, especially with the LED grille lights up here as well. But yeah, that was the first one. And then they flowed right into, of course, this. So Ryan, we'll just walk around the side because we did it in order inside, but here, yeah, we got the hood latches. Those just blend right into place. The coolest thing, I don't know, what's my favorite part of this? I think I'm between two, but we'll go through them. But one of my favorites, one of the top two, the wood grain on the hood. I was kind of just so excited that sometimes when my dreams or the visions of a build can come to life in a cool way that isn't like so custom you're not able to do it, that's what I get most excited about. So using an existing product that he has, the covered up windshield bumpers, which are awesome, we have them on all of our Jeeps, and doing it in wood grain just tied it in so well. And then the cowl panel, yeah, that's a must have. We always swap the cowl panel out here. And when you're actually looking at the side profile of this Jeep, especially once we have the fenders done, you're gonna be able to really be able to tie that in. Fender vents on the side, a subtle little Q. We're actually thinking about kind of doing one of those bomber, like the nose art planes ones right in here as those decals. I've seen some that have the mouth right here, like a tiger or something like that. But on the sides, dude, probably top two. This is my second parts, trail rated badge and that Jeep badge there. Those took a lot of thought into it. I know it doesn't look like there's a lot of thought into it, but it really has a lot of historical presence there. And I think the more that we talked about it in the video, the more I was thrilled to see it in person. But that flows right through the door, right? Color matched mirrors. I haven't seen these done before. They're a really awesome way to tie it in. And then with our build, it really flows really well with it. I do enjoy the way that these look. I don't know if it'll be too much on my Jeep. I'm kind of thinking it might be, and especially on yours. I don't know. I mean, but on this Jeep, it looks perfect. Everything has to be olive drab. Everything has to be 41. And a lot of people are going to give us grief because they say the original 41 was all like a flat, like matte. It wasn't gloss like this, but we're working with what we have. But then we got the door handles added and the covered up panels. So the door handles here and the covered up keyhole covers, those are like a perfect combo, because if you don't have these on, look at that. I mean, it's the only thing on the whole side of the Jeep that's actually chrome besides a little bit of the lug nuts. But these snap on and do a great job of protecting that. And then the door handles, super clean, super functional there. I'm loving the way that those turned out. But one of the coolest one, maybe I have three parts here that I like. The halogen taillights. These turned out cooler than I could have ever imagined. Reflectors on the side, reflectors around the border here, and just such a cool way to tie it in. I love, love, love the way that those turned out. I don't know if I can express how much I really enjoyed that. I think it's a cool way to tie in the heritage, tie in the color match, but then still get the factory reflectors on the side, still get the factory reflectors back here. Just a super, super cool way to do it. Tailgate. So we got the tailgate handle there too. That's the same as the sides. Other taillight here. And then the last thing that we installed was the fuel door. So we actually put on the Jeep fuel door here, and that was the first decal. And I like hate doing decals. I'm just such a perfectionist that I always think I'm gonna mess them up or make them just 1 degree, half a degree out of center. But we put the gas decal on here too, which these go on super well, and it's militarystencils.com. The guy's been doing it since 1972. So he started with just doing stencils. So if you were redoing a Jeep, you could spray on the stencil. Now he does decals as well. So if you don't want that permanent location on your original Willys MB, you could do decals. But that's what we did on this, because I don't think I have the gumption to sit here and paint stencils onto the Jeep without messing it up or taking all the clear coat off. But that was going to be the last one on there. Same thing on the driver's side though. So we got color match handles, color match keys, color match mirrors here. Man, this thing, I don't know, I'm just so happy with the way it's already turning out. Now, you guys can be honest and be the judge of it too. The black accents now, they look out of place. I think besides the top is black and some little things like the windshield wiper arms, the fenders just do not, the fenders and the front bumpers, they don't tie into the build as well. So those are probably going to be going here pretty soon. And then let us know in the comments too, what do you think of the Wrangler sticker? That's just a sticker. It all comes off in one piece. I don't know if it looks...
I don't know if it belongs, because the Wrangler...
It wasn't a Wrangler, yeah, and this is a Wrangler now, and it's like, but I don't think... Maybe like a little US flag would be cool, or something like incorporated into this, but I don't... I pulled it off on mine and yours. You know, the biggest thing I wanted to say, we do these kind of walkarounds and stuff, and a lot of people were almost... You know, hey, why are you doing color matching? Color matching doesn't belong on a Jeep. Well, with a Jeep like this, with a specific build, a specific purpose, as well as the installation videos that we're doing, I just think this is right for this Jeep. I do think you can go too far on color matching. And you know, it's funny because I've actually heard Brian talking to customers at a show. He's like the best to talk to when you're talking about what you want to accent on your Jeep, because I've heard him say you can go too far. Like, there is a level or a point of no return with color matching to where there's absolutely no breakup on the Jeep, and that's what we wanted to avoid. But in this Jeep, you can kind of color match it all with the build that we're going for. But once you guys start to see all of our decals, all of that onto it, that's going to be the accent where the base of the Jeep I want you to walk up and see the little details. I want you to go up and actually, you know what, that is color matched. I want it to blend in that much until you walk up to it and get a little bit closer to it. And man, this is exciting because it's, like I said, it's 2025 now that you guys are watching this video, and we're just so excited to be doing this kind of content. You know, we've got both of our Jeeps kind of wrapped up, and this one has been, I would say, it's one of the most exciting builds that I've done, because we're at a point with our channel and our brand that we can really think these through and have everything started right from the beginning and knock this thing off like a checklist, adding some things in while we're doing it, but really dialing it in and making it purpose built. So I will pitch it out again. If you guys have a hero that you know in your family that served in World War II, or honestly, let's just put it out there, a military family, let's just reach out to me. We would love to incorporate you into this build and have you be a part of the history and the heritage and everything that we're trying to honor with this. Until next time, Ryan's behind the camera. I'm out here in front of our brand new 41 build, and we want you to get out there and earn yours.